Have you ever wondered what really happens inside a man's mind when he's truly in love with you? Not the surface gestures, not the words he carefully chooses, but the quiet, unspoken fantasies that shape how he looks at you, how he touches you, and why he keeps choosing you again and again. For years, I used to believe men were simple and predictable. What you see is what you get. But over time, I realized how wrong that idea was. The more I listened, paid attention, and asked uncomfortable questions, the more I saw there's an entire hidden world behind their silence. And today, I want to open that door with you. Because what if I told you that the most powerful fantasies men hold aren't the fiery ones you might imagine, but the softer, quieter dreams that most people overlook? I'm not here to tell you fairy tales. I'm here to reveal the blueprint of love that lives inside a man's private thoughts, the kind of emotional map he'll never hand you directly, but secretly hopes you'll discover on your own. The truth is, most women never do. They think passion means drama, or that intimacy only belongs in the bedroom. But in reality, intimacy hides in the smallest details. It lives in the way he imagines holding you when you're too tired to speak, in how he pictures making you laugh when you're about to cry, in how he wants to be the one who knows your truest, unguarded self, the version you rarely show to anyone. Now, I could easily give you a quick list, 10 fantasies men secretly have, simple, done, easy to scroll through. But that's not how real connection works, does it? Real love doesn't move in straight lines. It unfolds in waves. Sometimes it's soft and gentle. Sometimes it's playful and bright. Sometimes it's so deep and intense that it steals your breath. What you're about to hear will take you through those waves. I'll show you how a man's fantasies begin in the simplest touches and grow into something lasting, something that reshapes what love actually means. But before we get there, let me ask you this. Have you ever caught your partner looking at you when you weren't even trying to look beautiful? No makeup, messy hair, maybe even in the middle of venting about your day, yet his eyes stayed on you longer than usual. Have you ever wondered what he was thinking in that exact moment? Here's the truth. In his mind, that might be the most breathtaking version of you, and he'll probably never say it out loud. That's the first curiosity I want you to hold on to. Why do men hide those feelings instead of saying them? Society, culture, upbringing, they've all taught men to push down their softer emotions. But hiding something doesn't erase it. It just buries it deeper, making it more powerful, more private, and sometimes even more meaningful. And when you learn to notice it and gently draw it out, everything about the way he loves you begins to shift. So here's where our journey goes. We'll explore the fantasies that begin with touch and warmth, the playful ones that spark laughter, the intimate ones that bloom when you're most open, the passionate ones that carry pride and desire, and finally, the forever ones that whisper quietly, "I choose you," not just today, but for all the days to come. Each of these pieces fits into a larger picture, like notes in a love song. And along the way, I'll share moments where I was mistaken, times when I thought men didn't care about something, only to discover it mattered to them more than I ever realized. Because what I've learned isn't just information, it's discovery. And discovery, in its truest form, is what makes love human. Don't expect me to end the story here. This is only the beginning. The first layer we'll uncover is tenderness, the kind of fantasy that sounds ordinary on the surface, but carries the weight of 1,000 emotions beneath it. I'll admit, I used to overlook this. I thought hugs were simple, sweet, nice gestures, nothing more. But I never realized how deeply men pour emotion into those small moments in their imagination. That's where we're headed next. But before we go there, let me leave you with a thought. What if the simplest embrace you take for granted is actually the fantasy he replays in his mind every night. When a man truly falls in love, his imagination doesn't start with passion or fireworks. It begins with the soft, invisible moments that others might ignore, but that mean everything to him. Holding you close, something that may look so ordinary from the outside, becomes in his private world one of his strongest desires. Imagine him picturing this, pulling you near, feeling your body rest against his chest, your breathing matching his. In that instant, the whole world fades away. For him, it's not just about closeness, it's proof. Proof that you trust him enough to relax, proof that you see him as your safe space. I used to believe hugs were just comfort, simple and physical. But now I know that for many men, a hug speaks a language words can't capture. It says, "I've got you, you're safe here, I'm not leaving." And in his imagination, you don't just let him hold you, you melt even just a little, you soften into him, and that's the moment he feels it in his bones, that you've chosen him fully. And then comes kissing, but not in the perfect movie-style way. In his thoughts, the kisses are unplanned, natural, full of surprise. He dreams of leaning in while you're laughing, kissing you mid-sentence just to make you giggle. He imagines pressing his lips to your forehead when you're half asleep, kissing your cheek when you're rambling about something, or brushing your lips in the kitchen while you're barefoot and distracted. These tiny moments replay in his mind over and over. And here's where I need to pause, because for years I thought men mostly fantasized about passion, about raw desire, but the truth I've seen again and again is that intimacy, not lust, dominates a man's inner world when he's truly in love. The kisses he imagines aren't about hunger. They're about seeing you, noticing you, reminding you that even in the most ordinary moment, you're still adored. Think about this. Have you ever brushed off his attempt to hug you because you were busy, or turned a kiss into a quick peck because your mind was elsewhere? Those are the moments that live in his imagination, because he doesn't dream of you being perfect. He dreams of you being real, unfiltered, natural, alive in your everyday rhythm. And what he wants most is to bring his affection into those spaces, the ones that seem so ordinary you forget they matter. But to him, they're everything. Here's something interesting. In studies of couples all around the world, when people were asked what made them feel the most loved, the majority didn't pick sex or expensive gestures. They picked small touches, holding hands, hugs, simple kisses. Men might not always say it aloud, but their inner world reflects that same truth. When he closes his eyes, he doesn't picture a perfect romantic scene with candles or roses. He pictures something far simpler, sitting beside you after a long day, you leaning against him while he brushes a strand of hair from your face, then kissing you softly just because he can. That's what lives inside his mind when he's in love. Not the big, loud displays, but the quiet, steady moments that tell him he's found home. That's his dream. And yet, it's a dream so many women quietly overlook. Let me be real with you. I used to roll my eyes whenever someone said men are sentimental. I thought it was an exaggeration, but over time I learned that sentimental is actually the perfect word. Men just cover it well. They hide it under humor, control, confidence, or even silence. But inside their private thoughts, they replay the smallest, softest fantasies again and again, and if you truly watch them, you'll start to notice it slipping through in little ways. The way he wraps his arm around you at the grocery store, the way his fingers search for your hand when you cross the street, the way he leans in for a gentle kiss on your forehead that you assumed was random. None of it is random. It's his hidden dream surfacing for a moment. And here's the part that quietly hurts. When a woman pulls away from those gestures, when she freezes instead of melting, when she treats it like nothing important, it stings. He doesn't pull back because he's mad. He withdraws because it hurts him more deeply than he can explain. It tells him his fantasy doesn't matter to her. That's exactly why I want to open this layer with you. Because once you recognize it, you'll realize how much unseen power you've always had. Every time you lean closer instead of away, every time you smile against his kiss, every time you soften and let yourself be held, you're living out one of his quietest desires. And the more you do, the more bonded, cherished, and emotionally full he feels. This is only the beginning, though. Tenderness is the first rhythm, the foundation of connection. But when a man feels safe enough, close enough, trusted enough to move beyond tenderness, his imagination begins to shift. That's when playfulness enters. That's when laughter, teasing, and light mischief start to bloom. That's the side he secretly longs to share, the one that keeps love fresh and fun. And trust me, that playful side is just as magnetic as the gentle one. But before diving there, think about this. What if that hug you thought was nothing special was actually the moment he's been daydreaming about all day? Because once tenderness becomes part of the relationship, once he knows his touch is welcome, something inside him changes. His fantasies evolve from simply wanting comfort to wanting playfulness. Because love, at its core, isn't only about protection or safety, it's about being alive together. And one of a man's strongest fantasies, though he might never speak it aloud, is making you laugh until your whole body gives in to joy. Imagine him replaying in his mind the sound of your laughter, the way your eyes crinkle when you can't stop smiling, the way your hand covers your mouth as if to contain it, but you can't. He stores that image away like a favorite song, returning to it when life gets heavy. I once believed men valued control and composure above everything, but I learned that what many of them crave just as deeply as closeness is seeing the woman they love completely undone by happiness. Not a polite smile, not a small laugh, but the kind that takes over your whole face, the kind that lights up a room. And here's what's even sweeter. In his mind, he often imagines himself as the reason for it. He dreams of being the one who breaks through your stress or overthinking with a perfectly timed joke or playful comment, something small that makes you forget the world for a second. To him, that's intimacy too, but laughter is only part of his playful dreams. The next piece is surprise, and I don't mean grand gestures like the ones you see in movies, flowers everywhere or candle-lit rooms. No. His fantasies are far simpler and much more personal. He imagines walking in with your favorite snack when you least expect it. He pictures the way your face lights up when he does something thoughtful without being asked. He dreams of slipping a funny note in your bag, something you'll find later in the middle of a long day, smiling to yourself because of him. He imagines creating tiny secret memories only the two of you share, like making a blanket fort to watch a movie or turning an ordinary night into something quietly unforgettable. And for him, the best part isn't the act itself. It's your reaction. The sparkle in your eyes, the surprise in your voice, the laugh that escapes you before you can stop it. That reaction is the reward he cherishes most. But let me ask you something. Have you ever brushed off these little things? Maybe you've thought, it's just coffee, it's just a note, it's just a joke. If you have, you might not realize you were dismissing one of his softest fantasies, because to him those moments aren't small. They're his way of bringing you happiness. When you light up in response, you're not just saying thank you, you're saying, I see you. I feel what you're trying to say without words. And that's what keeps him imagining new ways to make you smile. There's also a mischievous streak that runs through his thoughts. Sometimes he imagines interrupting your seriousness, pulling you close for a dance in the kitchen, whispering something daring in your ear when you least expect it. It's never about embarrassment. It's about connection hidden inside laughter. He wants to be the one who keeps you on your toes, reminding you that love doesn't have to turn dull or predictable, that it can still feel like a secret adventure even years later. I used to assume men let go of this playful energy once a relationship became comfortable. But I found out the truth. It's the exact opposite. The safer he feels with you, the wilder his imagination becomes. Stability doesn't kill excitement, it feeds it. So why does this matter? Because when a man dreams about laughter, play, and surprises, what he's truly longing for is partnership in joy. He doesn't just want to be your protector or lover, he wants to be your teammate in happiness. He wants to be the reason your stomach hurts from laughing, the reason you smile unexpectedly, the reason you feel lighter just because he's around. That's not a small thing. That's intimacy disguised as fun. And here's what I've noticed. When women let that side of love breathe, their relationships don't just feel romantic, they feel alive. The couples who still joke, who still create small surprises, are the ones who build something lasting. Because yes, passion might fade sometimes, tenderness may be tested, but laughter and play hold everything together. Men understand this instinctively, even if they never say it out loud. That's why their fantasies are filled with small, silly moments that seem simple but mean everything. They're the glue that makes love endure. Now let's take it deeper. If tenderness is the foundation and playfulness is the spark, what happens when life turns heavy? When you're tired, vulnerable, when everything feels too much? What do his fantasies look like then? Because when the laughter fades and quiet fills the space, something even more powerful rises in his heart. This layer isn't about jokes or touches. It's about care. It's the fantasy of being the one who holds you together when you feel like falling apart. Imagine this. You've had one of those days that just break you down, when your shoulders ache from invisible weight, when you can barely breathe under the pressure. In his mind, he sees himself right there beside you, taking over what he can, tucking you into bed, cooking something simple so you don't have to think, massaging your shoulders until you stop holding your breath, running his fingers through your hair while you finally let go. That's the quiet dream he carries, the one he rarely speaks of but feels deeply. Because for him, love isn't just about passion or laughter. It's about being the calm when your world feels stormy. It's about being your safe place, the person you can fall into without words. That's his secret fantasy, the one hidden behind every tender touch and playful tease. The hope that when everything else fades, he'll still be the one who makes you feel at home. Until sleep finally claims you, he doesn't see you as fragile. In fact, he sees the opposite. In his thoughts, he pictures himself being strong enough for both of you in that moment. Not to overshadow you, but to honor the faith you show in him when you allow yourself to be open and unguarded. I'll admit something too. I once believed that men ran from vulnerability, that they avoided tears, avoided messy emotions, avoided the chaos life throws in our path. But what I've come to realize is that when a man truly loves, his fantasies move straight toward those tender places. He imagines being the one who wraps his arms around you during your storms, the one who listens quietly without judging, the one who reminds you that no matter how dark the night feels, you're never alone. That isn't weakness, that's devotion. A kind of devotion that burns more deeply than any candlelit dinner ever could. Another image that lives quietly in his mind is seeing you in your most natural state. No filters, no careful styling, no pretending, just you as you are, raw, real, unguarded. He pictures you in his shirt, your hair a little messy, your face without makeup, maybe still half asleep, and in his eyes, that's when you're breathtaking. He doesn't crave the polished version of you that the world celebrates. He craves the version that only he gets to witness, because that's what intimacy truly is. It's the evidence that you trust him enough to drop every mask and show him the parts of you no one else sees. I used to think men only desired the glamorous, perfected image, but I was wrong. Time and again, I've seen that when a man loves deeply, he cherishes seeing you undone, because to him that means the love is genuine, not performed. Think about it. Have you noticed the way he smiles when you're wearing old sweatpants? Or how his eyes soften while you're brushing your teeth? Or the way he laughs quietly when you're half asleep and mumbling nonsense? Those little looks aren't meaningless. They're fragments of his fantasy, proof that in his private world you're most beautiful when you're most yourself. And here's something important. When you let him that close, when you stop performing and allow him to see your exhaustion, your flaws, your raw self, you're fulfilling one of his deepest dreams. Because to him, that's when the bond turns unbreakable. There's also a deeper fantasy built around care, the tiny acts of devotion that most people overlook. He imagines bringing you tea when you're unwell, sitting quietly at the edge of the bed just in case you need him, wrapping you in a blanket when you're cold before you even ask. These moments replay in his mind, not because they're grand gestures, but because they are love expressed through action. And though he may never say it aloud, this is how he envisions proving again and again that he'll always be there. So here's something to think about. Have you ever mistaken those quiet gestures for habit instead of fantasy? Have you ever thought he was just being kind, when in truth he was living out one of his most meaningful desires, to be your steady hand, your caretaker, your calm in chaos? Once you see it like that, you realize the intimacy runs deeper than you imagined. It's not about him needing to be needed. It's about him being chosen to be the one you lean on when you fall apart. That means everything to him. And now here's the loop to leave you with. If tenderness gives him safety, and playfulness gives him joy, and caretaking gives him purpose, then what happens when love grows more intense? When passion becomes too powerful to contain, when desire crashes into devotion, what does his imagination build then? That's where the passionate fantasies begin, the ones that make his pulse race, the ones he tries to hide but can't, the ones that show not just desire, but pride, urgency, and a deep need to show the world he belongs to you. That's the next wave. But before we reach it, pause and ask yourself, what if those small, simple moments, like him tucking a blanket around you or watching you laugh with your hair up, were actually the fantasies that define how he loves you? When a man has already learned tenderness, found joy in playfulness, and grounded himself in caretaking, his fantasies evolve into something even more consuming, something that fuses desire and devotion in a way words can barely express. These are the passionate dreams that make his heart pound, his breath quicken, the ones he struggles to contain in public but can't keep from surfacing in his thoughts. One of the strongest is the urge to kiss you openly, not for display, not for validation, but because his feelings are too strong to hide. He imagines pulling you close on a busy street, kissing you with such urgency that everything else fades. He pictures leaning in at a party, brushing your hair back to kiss your neck, not to prove anything, but to remind you that even in a crowd, you are his center. To him, these moments aren't for show. They're about pride, about surrender, about the rush of emotion he can't contain when he looks at you. And alongside that lives another fantasy, the desire to be the only one who knows you completely, body and soul. He dreams of learning every detail, how you like to be touched, what makes you sigh, what makes you giggle mid-intimacy, what soothes you after chaos. He wants to understand your rhythms and secrets like no one else ever could. And here's something I never expected. This fantasy is less about lust and more about closeness, about being chosen, about a connection so personal it becomes its own private language. In his heart, being the man who truly knows you, who sees you free of masks and defenses, is the ultimate proof of love. Yet his passion doesn't stop there. Over time, his fantasies begin to include forever. He doesn't just imagine kissing you today, he imagines doing it decades from now, when your hair has streaks of silver, when your steps are slower but your laughter still fills the room. He dreams of a life built together, lazy Sunday mornings, inside jokes no one else understands, quiet evenings where simply sitting side by side feels like the purest form of love. He dreams of traditions, small rituals that grow sacred with time, of a home glowing with shared memories. And beyond all that, he dreams of being your always, the man you still reach for in the dark, the one who still makes you laugh when the world feels heavy, the one who holds your hand when you both finally know what truly matters. I once thought a man's fantasies ended with desire, that once passion was fulfilled, the dream faded. But I've learned that for a man deeply in love, passion becomes the bridge to forever. The urge to kiss you in public, to show the world he's yours, is tied to the deeper wish to be the one you keep choosing over and over for the rest of your life. And that, more than anything, defines the hidden landscape of a man's imagination when he loves fully. So now I ask you, what part of this touched your heart most? Was it his tenderness when he held you close, his playful teasing, his quiet care when you were vulnerable, the passion that overtook him, or the forever he secretly dreams of building with you? Each piece forms part of his inner map, a map of love he may never put into words, but longs for you to understand. Share your thoughts in the comments. Tell me which part resonated with you, because your voice might help someone else see love differently today. And if you're ready to dive deeper, to discover the subtle emotional triggers that make a man feel irresistibly drawn, devoted, and loyal, I've created a free guide just for you. The link's in the description. It explores the emotional psychology that turns desire into lasting love. Don't miss it. It could change how you see every relationship you have. And before you go, if this message touched you, hit like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Remember, love isn't a game. It's connection. It's courage. It's the joy of choosing each other again and again. And as you take this with you, I'll leave you with one final thought. What if, right now, while you're listening to this, the man you love is somewhere, imagining his forever with you, just waiting for the moment he finally gets to show you?